So hey, good day to everybody. I'm having a wonderful weekend. I got a chance to do some foraging in an area of my mountain community where I live with my friend Chris. Just beautiful, beautiful, awesome section of this forest that I live in, which has a lot of different. It's kind of a dry forest, but this particular section, because I think it has some underground water, is pretty awesome. So, um, this is going to be addressing some Dan the Man type stuff. Um, the first thing I have to say is something positive. Dan is very high profile, is helping a lot of people, and I understand that people, when they're on these journeys, I'm going through the same thing. I'm on an emotional, spiritual, uplifting. I've been really focused on the physical all of my life, and I'm actually implementing things myself of dealing with emotional, mental, and using the spiritual to sort of facilitate the removal of blockages and things like that. And so I fully understand that people need some inspiration to when they're going on a journey, because we are pack animals. Basically, we're not predators. Well, we are, but more of our nature is as social animals. So, and just to anybody that wants to doubt that we are predator, are not a predator, because you're stuck in vegan dogma. Um, we are the only apex predator in written history, any kind of history. The only apex predator that has not been able to control its numbers. So that kind of puts us, I don't give a fuck if you're vegan or not. Anyway, so the inspiration that Dan provides is pretty amazing. And it's basically, what I hear all the time is it's all about juicing, all the time. And I juice a lot. I totally juice a lot. I'm not down on juicing. I'm not stuck in this 80-10-10 mentality of whole food, oh, juice is bad because that's all well and good, but this is an important topic here. So, on that inspiration level, great stuff. But all I'm saying here is just that, and what's going to be said here is that Dan, with his sort of Christ-like magnetism that he has with people, he needs to up his game. So, anyways, that being said, so I'm sure that this title of this post is going to bring people over who are not used to me. And I will tell you right now that my last criticism of Dan the Man, Life Regenerator, Dan McDonald, that I did was regarding Candida. And I refrained from any cussing or anything like that. And my basic deal is my life has been on a positive upswing all of my life. I have never had any reason to repent or do any of that kind of stuff. So, I present a lifestyle. I'm an artist where I do not buy into this box living, subscribing that people do. That means that where you feel like you need to modify yourself, and it's likely that you do, but that doesn't mean that you need to go through a whole transition of like becoming something that you're not. Myself, I am a rebel. I'm an anarchist. I grew up listening to, I'm big into music, big into cutting edge culture. I've taken in all forms of music, all types of, from progressive rock to punk rock. I've spent a lot of time in clubs, dancing my brains out. I got into all kinds of cutting edge culture. I'm also gay, so I really don't give a fuck about fitting in, and all of that kind of thing, as well as my adventures into body modification. That means tattooing, piercing, and anything related to that. So, on the introduction to me, I like to cuss, and I like to present a whole different thing, because I think the whole puritanical side of raw foodism, and as it's being presented these days, is practically going to repulse people, because it's just like, who wants to be boring and puritanical? Fuck that. So you've already heard a few F-bombs. That's pretty common here. So you better run, because this is what's going to happen in this video here. Because I held back from cussing in the last one, but this is essentially going to be a full-out verbal attack, like you saw what the U.S. did to Iraq and Afghanistan on the television. This is going to be the verbal equivalent of that, because I personally think that what's going on with this dude is complete egotistical bullshit. There is no, I've noticed this in some healing people, is there is, to be a healer, you need to be an empath. And if you don't know that word, it's related to the word empathy, which means that you need to be in somebody's shoes. You don't need to be a self-centered idiot of basically putting forth what works for you. So, and most people just need juicing, just need a good diet. The whole juicing, the whole basic raw food thing is like a solvent. It's kind of the basic same thing of if you haven't, being somebody who's an electronic musician, as I am, there's solvents that you can spray into old circuitry which open it up and allow it to free flow more. So generally, yes, that is what's wrong with everybody. Juicing, blah, 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 all of this kind of stuff. And an important thing to remember in all of this, people, is that juicing and everything is not going to turn you into Dan McDonald necessarily, unless you already have the base stock that he does. The guy comes from really good background. He looks great, he looks awesome, but not everybody has that same makeup. It's like, I don't care what you do, you cannot be anything more than what your parents were. And so many people, Dan is of the age, I don't know where he's from, but there's a lot of good breeding stock in there, which, anyways, that said, so this is going to be a full-scale war attack, and I am not going to let go. I'm not going to restrain myself at all with this. So this is basically addressing a consultation that Dan did with somebody with MS, and I just have to say, this is, this kind of thing is the kind of thing that's going to bring the AMA, the FDA down on this whole community, because this is bullshit. This consultation, I'm going to go through the consultation, and we're going to go through this, because this guy is out of control, just completely out of control. It's very egotistical what's going on here, and I've had a few spies around telling me about some of the things that are going on in the whole world of Dan the Man, and I ain't going to sit idly by, because I genuinely want to help people. I have had a free and easy life. I've had an awesome life. I have never had a point where I've repented or anything. My life has been on an upswing the whole time. So that's why you see what you see, okay? Yes, I am most definitely aware of the fact that a lot of Dan's loving tribe is a lot of fundamentalist Christian points of view, and I know that Dan, I could never even get through his videos with the fundamentalist Christian dogma going on there, and I have heard that he's evolving a little more, but I do want to point out, I don't have anything against fundamentalist Christian belief systems, but the word fundamental is fundamental. Fundamental means 1 + 1 = 2, A, B, C, D, C-A-T spells cat. So I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying that ain't evolved, that ain't the whole thing. So most fundamentalist Christian belief systems come out of the King James edition of the Bible, which is edited. And while we're on that subject, King James, that would be edited by somebody whose best interest was to control people. So, and that has a lot to do with this sort of theories of Illuminati type stuff, of bloodlines, and I'm not somebody, I just want to be having a wide knowledge of everything. And so along supporting this, I do want to tell you that 37 of our U.S. presidents have a traceable bloodline to King Charlemagne from a long time ago when Europe was established. So that being said, anybody that's interested in the wide truth and wants to move beyond the King James edition of the Bible or any edited version, because as I'm to understand, Calvary Chapel, which is a very huge amount of pollution that is all over U.S., has made their own version now. So this might help you. These are pretty much full scriptures, and I believe all religions are fine and awesome, and even some of the most simple, primitive, indigenous religions. The important thing to consider is it's all about the same thing, even if the details are wrong. So that's important to note in religion. So let's go on. And so yes, with that being said, I do want to point to a few significant things that have been eliminated from the Bible, because it is this very narrow thing which has taken elements out. In terms of my own stuff, I am very into what could be called occult, New Age type stuff, and magic, and so the 7th and 8th book of Moses have been removed, which deal a lot with the fact that the Jews were enslaved by the Egyptians, and the 7th and 8th book of Moses deal a lot with Egyptian magic and things like that. And then, in my opinion, Dan, I get this total vibe from him that he's running from darkness and whatnot. And this is another thing that fundamentalist Christianity teaches, is running from your darkness. So the Book of Enoch is a great book that has been also conveniently removed because it deals with a lot of darkness. And so a person should not run from their darkness. They should know their darkness. And a great saying that I'm fond of quoting in this is, be close, or have your friends close and your enemies even closer. So, all of that being said, I do also want to inform you that lots of colors going to be going off here. Yes, I changed clothes, put my beads on. I took my shirt off, put my beads on, because I do just like to invite and inspire the artist in everybody, because that is what makes us unique. And so for me, what is the word weird is bad to people. The word weird to me indicates that you're not in with the collective consciousness, and that's definitely where I'm coming from. So what's weird to me is, or the word freak or whatever, is good, because it's self-expression. We are not ants. We are not like little. We are like one of God's best creations, and one of the things that's going wrong with everybody is the loss of that. Why everybody's getting sad, why everybody's getting fat, and all that kind of stuff. So, all of that being said, and I am drinking juice while I'm doing this, and I am operating and functioning on a very high level this morning. So, I am going to be playing back Dan's consultation with this person with MS, neurological disorders. I have a very loud PA in my living room, which I use to play back my mixes that I do in my studio so that I can hear how they sound on all formats. So I'm going to be playing back Dan. Is going to be coming through the PA, and even though my voice is, I'm going to be talking over that and stopping this. I've seen Durian Rider do that, so in that sense, and I really don't care for Durian Rider, but I am going to stir up some shit today. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here we go.
So I'm glad that I could get a hold of you this morning to get you on base. I'm talking to my friend Andrew here, and he has multiple sclerosis. And you said it's been progressing?
Yes, MS usually does progress in people, so get on with it, Dan.
How long ago did you find out about raw foods, Andrew?
Maybe 10 days.
Okay, fine. And so up until that time you were eating meat?
I was eating fried fish, fried turkey, and fried chicken.
If you couldn't hear that, he said he's eating fried meat, fried chicken.
Okay, how long have you had MS?
I've had MS for the last 6 years. I've only been diagnosed for one year.
Okay, so now that you've stopped eating fried animals...
Okay, first off, Keith is a vegan, hardcore, spent almost 25 years of being a solid vegan. Fried animals is a little shock value term that idiot, dogmatic, box-living vegans use to shock people, so fuck that. And by the way, I am going to criticize Dan in this, and I am going to, when I'm talking about him, I am going to call him things like dumbass, stupid ass, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm simultaneously going to sort of do a consultation as best I can while listening back to all this for you to hear of what I would do. And anyway, so I'm going to call this guy Bro. And just so you know, in looking at me, I do come out of the world. I was in the mid-70s. I was out of the skate surf crowd, and I have not lost my child spirit in me at all. I completely express myself in the same manner. I've never gone through this thing, of growing up, but I have acquired a lot of wisdom in that sort of beautiful childlike development, and so that's definitely going to come across with me. I'm a rebel, I'm a punk, and so if you don't like that stuff, go ahead and go to another video, okay? So, here we go!
Your condition should at least slow down, and the key is going to want to be to reverse it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm glad that you stopped eating meat, because in the end, meat does deteriorate the nervous system. In the end, in a human being, meat ends up deteriorating the human nervous system.
Okay, more dogma. Again, I have a blood type A. I have a longing towards veganism and all this stuff. And to anybody that's interested in widening the scope of your wisdom, I highly recommend that you read the book Primal Body, Primal Mind. And I've gone through some developing stuff myself. And just to any of you new people, I just turned 49 a little while ago. Dan is 37. He has not crossed the point of where the body basically starts deteriorating with the material that you were given at birth. So the thing to keep in mind with that being said is that somebody with good breeding stock can basically live on spaghetti, McDonald's, Del Taco, Taco Bell, and all this stuff and still look great. So, and not everybody, because of some of the stuff that's happened over the last 100 years with bad breeding, has this same thing. Some of us have it, some of it don't. I definitely have it. Dan definitely has it. I can see in the dark complexion of his body and all that kind of stuff. Now, some people have not been blessed as much, and you can address this or see this in a theory called Pottinger's cats, where basically cats are malnutritioned, and what winds up is that their whole genetic constitution and everything completely breaks down. On we go.
Because it's dead animal flesh.
Bullshit.
Now, what I want to encourage you to do, Andrew, is, I don't know if you're aware, but fruit actually will enhance the quality of the nervous system and the neuron connections. So does that make sense energetically?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, so do you have access to good fruit?
I have access to fruits, and I also purchased a juicer over the internet this morning. So I'm hoping that the instant juice will actually make things better for me.
The juice will. I want you to focus on the side of the fruits more than the vegetables, but you can use the vegetables to stay balanced, but the fruits vibrate the highest, so they heal the nervous system the fastest.
Okay, that's complete bullshit. Fruit operating at a high level, first off, fruit is going to help anybody that's blocked up. The first thing that should have been talked about here is like basically how well this guy is crapping, stuff like that. And fruit in general is going to help loosen up all of that kind of stuff. But in terms of it vibrating at a higher frequency, that's really a kind of a throw around word. And the thing to realize here is that we as human beings are not vibrating at our highest frequency possible. And this is why yogis of India and stuff like that are able to sustain themselves on one single mango or something like that every month or every year, or breatharianism and all the legends of all of this kind of stuff is why it exists. Excuse me, I am detoxing myself. So what I'm trying to say here is that most of us Americans, most of us Westerners are not vibrating at a high frequency, and so this is a complete load of crap here. And as far as that goes, vegetables, leafy greens, If you're talking about a frequency, the sun is what generates a lot of frequencies and chlorophyll, juice. So anyways, on we go. Bullshit, Dan.
Understood. So focus on fruits for right now and motivations. I can do that.
Eat as much of the freshest, sweetest fruits like watermelons, grapes are coming in season. We got summer coming on, and you're going to have a lot of fruits, and you're going to see a lot of change in your mobility. I think you can get...
Okay, so you may feel better because, yes, fruit does offer a type of food, a sugar, which the body absorbs and turns into energy better and quicker. And in my analysis of Dan when he was talking about candida, he replied to me and said that when he gave this woman with candida fruit, that she actually felt better. Yes, you are going to feel better because, first off, you're getting that nutrition in there quicker because it's a more absorbable food as opposed to the more dense nutrition, which is proteins and fats, especially fats. The whole no-fat thing is the biggest load of crap. And this can be, again, seen in a very nicely written book about all of this called Primal Body, Primal Mind. And this stuff needs to be addressed. And if you are dead set on being vegan or vegetarian, a lot of the material that is in this book can, I'm not sure yet, but I think it can be adapted to a vegan lifestyle, especially if you start getting on with some of the products that David Wolf is using that offers more of a broad fat spectrum. So anyways, that's that. And the whole idea of this is basically in all systems, longevity has been shown. The systems, I mean, people have done research on longevity. Every one of these systems shows that longevity exists with a calorie reduction. And so the best way to make that work is to use a very nutritionally dense food, which is fats, things like seaweed, all this kind of stuff. Fruit is not nutritionally dense. It is a very simple food that we can absorb, which is why all the 80-10-10 athletes and people like that get such a rush out of it because it's very direct. But when you allow your body to go ketonic, you're going to have much more of a fuel to draw from. And the analogy of this can be seen, if you see the fireplace behind me, I am somebody that burns wood to warm my house in the winter, and so pine, paper, that kind of stuff burns real fast, gets heat up really quick, and other woods like avocado, oak, and stuff like that, they're hard to get lit, but once they do get lit and get going, they provide a far longer, more sustainable type of heat. So the same thing works with what I'm talking about here. So anyways,